Every day, you make choices. Tiny ones, quiet ones, ones no one sees. But those choices, they shape everything. They build your habits, your identity, your future. Want to live an extraordinary life? It starts before breakfast with 7 simple, powerful decisions. You don't need a dramatic transformation to change your life. You just need consistent, intentional decisions. The extraordinary isn't built in a day. It's built daily. In this video, I'll share 7 daily decisions that, if practiced with purpose, can radically shape your mindset, habits, and direction. Let's dive in. Number 1, choose growth over comfort. 600 words. Every single day, you're presented with a simple but powerful fork in the road. Do I choose what's easy, or do I choose what helps me grow? It rarely looks dramatic. There's no spotlight on you when you hit snooze instead of waking up early to journal or train. No one cheers when you decide to speak up in that meeting, even though your voice shakes. But over time, those small choices build the architecture of your life. Comfort is seductive. It's safe. It's predictable. It's watching one more episode instead of reading. It's sticking to what you know instead of daring to try something new. It whispers you're doing fine, why risk discomfort? But here's the truth. Comfort zones are beautiful places, but nothing ever grows there. Choosing growth means doing the hard thing on purpose. It means leaning into discomfort, not away from it. Because discomfort is a signal not that something's wrong, but that something new is being built. That's where confidence is forged. That's where skills sharpen. That's where transformation begins. The difference between an average life and an extraordinary one is found in your tolerance for discomfort. The more you stretch, the more you grow. Not all at once, but bit by bit. And the beauty is that growth compounds. Just like interest in a savings account, the gains are small at first, barely noticeable. But with consistency, those daily decisions to grow stack up. One day, the result is visible. People call it a breakthrough. You'll know it was just discipline and grit over time. Let's be clear, choosing growth doesn't mean hustling 24/7 or pushing yourself to burnout. It means choosing challenges that expand you. It's saying yes to reading 10 pages a day instead of scrolling endlessly. It's signing up for the course that scares you a little, because deep down you know you're capable of more. It's asking for feedback when it's easier to stay silent. Growth is less about massive leaps and more about micro stretches. Daily acts that challenge your mind, body, or character. And those micro stretches, they change your identity. They shift the story you tell yourself about who you are. Maybe yesterday you were someone who avoided risk. Today you make a phone call that scares you. That's growth. Maybe yesterday you doubted your ability to change career. Today you study for 30 minutes after work. That's growth. It's not about where you start. It's about what you choose today. Remember this. Comfort is passive. Growth is active. Comfort says, I'll wait until I feel ready. Growth says, I'll start now, and readiness will follow. The people we admire, the ones living with purpose, fulfillment, and impact, they didn't get there by playing it safe. They got there by choosing the road less traveled over and over. They chose growth, even when it was uncomfortable, uncertain, and sometimes lonely. The beautiful thing. You don't need to overhaul your life. You just need to make one decision a day that pushes your edges. One habit, one risk, one moment of courage. Then repeat. So tomorrow, when you feel the tug of comfort, pause. Ask yourself, what would the future version of me, the stronger, wiser, more fulfilled me, choose right now? Then choose growth. Not because it's easy, but because it's worth it. Growth doesn't feel good in the moment, but neither does regret. Choose your discomfort. Wise. One leads to greatness. The other doesn't. Number 2, choose action over perfection. Perfection is a lie we tell ourselves to delay progress. It wears the mask of high standards, but underneath, it's just fear. Fear of judgment, fear of failure, fear of not being good enough. And the problem with chasing perfection, you never start. Or worse, you start and never finish. Action, on the other hand, is honest. It's gritty. It's imperfect, but it's real. And it moves you forward. Every extraordinary person you admire, from writers to athletes to entrepreneurs, got there not by being perfect, but by being consistent. They acted. They made mistakes. They learned. Then they acted again. They didn't wait for the perfect conditions, because they knew perfect conditions never come. The perfectionist waits. The action taker works. If you want to write a book, perfection says, wait until you have the perfect idea, the perfect outline, the perfect writing environment. But action says, write one messy paragraph today. If you want to start a business, perfection says, research more, plan more, make it flawless. Action says, launch now, learn as you go. Perfection leads to paralysis. Action leads to momentum. Here's the truth. Clarity comes through action, not before it. You don't find your voice by thinking about it. You find it by speaking, by writing, by doing. The first version will probably be rough. That's okay, because rough versions are the soil where greatness grows. Let's be real. Your first attempt won't be your best, but it will be your most important. Because once you've acted, you've broken inertia. You've crossed the line between dreaming and doing. And that's where most people get stuck, at the starting line. When you act, even imperfectly, you gain something perfection can never give you: progress. You start to build identity-based habits. You begin to see yourself as someone who creates, not just someone who consumes, someone who builds, not just someone who plans. And here's where the magic happens. Once you're in motion, you get feedback. You learn what works and what doesn't. You adjust, you improve. Suddenly, you're on a path perfectionism never gave you access to. A path of real growth, real improvement, and real confidence. Don't wait until you feel confident to act. Confidence is a byproduct of action, not a prerequisite. Consider this. When a sculptor starts with a block of marble, the first cuts aren't beautiful. They're rough, jagged, but without those first cuts, the masterpiece stays hidden forever. Your dreams are the same. If you want to carve something remarkable out of your life, you need to make that first imperfect cut. Every day, ask yourself, what small action can I take right now? Even if it's messy. That's how you build momentum. That's how you silence the inner critic. That's how you prove to yourself that you're someone who takes action, not just someone who waits. Let the world see your imperfect work. Let them watch you grow in public. The people who matter won't mock your beginnings. They'll respect your courage. And the people who they're not doing anything worth noticing. So next time you hear that voice in your head saying, "It's not ready," respond with this: "Maybe not, but it's time." Then hit publish. Make the call. Step on stage. Do the thing. Because progress is always better than perfection. And in the end, no one builds an extraordinary life by thinking about it. They build it by taking action. One imperfect step at a time. Number 3, choose discipline over motivation. Motivation feels great when it's there. It's exciting. It lights a fire in you. But the hard truth is this: motivation is unreliable. It's inconsistent. It comes and goes like the weather. You can't build an extraordinary life based on something that fades the moment things get tough. Discipline, on the other hand, is solid. It's dependable. It doesn't care how you feel. It just shows up. Discipline is the muscle that moves you forward when motivation disappears. People often say, "I wish I were more motivated." But what they really need is a system, a set of habits anchored in discipline that runs even on your worst. Because here's the key: you don't rise to the level of your motivation. You fall to the level of your systems. And those systems are built by discipline. Motivation gets you started. Discipline keeps you going. Let's take a simple example. Let's say you want to get in shape. When motivation is high, going to the gym feels easy. You're excited. You have energy. You buy the new shoes, set the alarm, maybe even post about it online. But then, Monday hits. You're tired. It's raining. Your legs are sore. Motivation vanishes. That's the moment of truth. Do you go anyway? If you've built discipline, the answer is yes. Extraordinary people don't always feel like doing the work, but they do it anyway. Not because they're robots, not because they enjoy every second of it, but because they've made a decision. They act based on values, not mood. And that's the difference. Discipline is a decision to align your actions with your goals, regardless of how you feel in the moment. It's waking up early, not because it's fun, but because your future self deserves the extra hour. It's saying no to distractions, not because you're superhuman, but because your mission matters more. It's writing when you're uninspired, training when you're tired, showing up when it's easier to stay home. And here's what most people get wrong. They think discipline is about restriction, that it's harsh, that it takes the joy out of life. But it's actually the opposite. Discipline creates freedom. When you're disciplined with your time, you gain more of it. When you're disciplined with your health, you gain energy. When you're disciplined with your habits, you gain discipline isn't punishment. It's an investment in your best self. And like any investment, the returns grow over time. You won't see instant rewards. You might not even feel different after a few days or weeks. But give it time. Stay consistent. Because discipline has a compounding effect. What feels hard today becomes automatic tomorrow. What requires effort now becomes part of your identity. At some point, the question changes from "how do I stay motivated?" to "who am I becoming through this discipline?" You become dependable, focused, resilient. You begin to trust yourself. That trust becomes confidence. And that confidence, it shows up in every area of your life. So don't wait for motivation. Build a schedule. Set a standard. Keep your promises to yourself. Even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. Because while the world waits to feel ready, the disciplined are out there doing the work. Building the life they want. One habit, one repetition, one decision at a time. And that's what separates the average from the extraordinary. Number 4, choose responsibility over blame. Blame is easy. It's automatic. When something goes wrong, your brain wants to point a finger at your boss, your parents, the economy, your genetics, your partner, the system. Blame protects your ego. It shields you from pain, but it also locks you in place. Responsibility. That's hard, but it's also the most powerful decision you can make. Blame is the language of victims. Responsibility is the mindset of leaders. Here's the truth. Life will hand you pain, setbacks, and unfair situations. That's not your fault. But how you respond, that's 100% your responsibility. Extraordinary people understand this. They don't waste time waiting for perfect circumstances. They take ownership of what they can control, and they build from there. Responsibility isn't about guilt or shame. It's not about beating yourself up when things go wrong. It's about ownership. It's standing in the mirror and saying, maybe I didn't choose this situation, but I do choose how I respond to it. Because when you take responsibility, you reclaim your power. You stop reacting and start creating. You stop complaining and start changing. Blame keeps you stuck in the past. Responsibility moves you toward the future. Let's say you're unhappy in your job. Blame says, my boss is toxic. The company is unfair. The market's terrible. Maybe that's true. But now what? Are you going to wait for them to change? Or are you going to take responsibility for your next move? Responsibility says, what can I learn here? What's within my control? How can I use this experience to grow? That shift in mindset is everything. Because now you're not powerless. You're the driver. And it's the same in relationships and health. In personal goals, you can always find something or someone to blame. But blaming doesn't build anything. It just distracts you from the real work. The work of growth, resilience, and reinvention. Taking responsibility also transforms your identity. The moment you say, I am responsible, you start showing up differently. You stop waiting. You start acting. You stop avoiding. You start facing. You stop resenting. You start creating. Responsibility gives you clarity. It cuts through the noise. You're no longer at the mercy of luck or circumstance. You start asking better questions. What can I improve today? What lesson is hidden in this failure? What's one small step I can take right now? Those questions unlock progress. And over time, they create a new narrative. One where you're not the victim of your life story, but the author of it. Now let's be honest. This isn't easy. Sometimes taking responsibility feels unfair. Sometimes it means swallowing your pride, admitting your part, and making hard choices. But it also means freedom. Because when you own your life, you can change your life. You don't need to control everything. You just need to control your response. That's where your real power lives. So choose responsibility. Choose to stop pointing fingers. Choose to stop waiting for someone to save you. Choose to become the kind of person who faces difficulty with courage, who owns their story, and who builds forward no matter what. Because in the end, blame delays progress. Responsibility accelerates it. And the people who build extraordinary lives, they aren't the ones with the fewest problems. They're the ones who choose responsibility day after day until it becomes who they are. Number 5, choose gratitude over comparison. Comparison is a thief of joy, of focus. It tricks you into thinking you're behind, when really you're just on your own timeline. It whispers lies like, look at them. They're better, faster, richer, more successful. And if you're not careful, it will rob you of everything good in your life. But gratitude is the antidote. It grounds you. It clarifies your vision. It shifts your energy from what's missing to what's already here. Every day you have a choice. You can compare, or you can give thanks, but you can't do both at the same time. Comparison is reactive. It focuses on what others have done. It traps you in external measurements. How many followers, how much money, how fast someone else got results. But gratitude is proactive. It says, let me focus on my own lane. Let me recognize what I do have, what I have built, what I am becoming. Here's the truth. Comparison is based on illusion. You're never seeing the whole picture. You're comparing your behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel. Their life looks perfect from the outside, but you don't see the doubt, the struggles. Gratitude brings you back to reality. It reminds you that your life is already full of blessings, progress, and opportunities, if you choose to see them. Gratitude isn't about pretending everything is perfect. It's about noticing the good, even when life isn't easy. It's about shifting your focus from what's wrong to what's right. And when you make this shift consistently, it changes your brain, literally. Studies show that gratitude rewires your mind for optimism, resilience, and emotional well-being. It lowers stress. It boosts focus. It deepens relationships. Why? Because when you're grateful, you stop obsessing over what you lack and start building with what you have. Gratitude also strengthens your identity. It reminds you that you're not starting from zero. You've already come a long way. You've grown, endured, overcome. You've got tools, talents, and experiences that matter. Gratitude brings those wins into focus, so you can build confidence from the inside out. And here's something powerful. Gratitude is a skill. It's something you can train. Just like lifting weights builds your body, practicing gratitude builds your mindset. Start simple.
Write down 3 things you're grateful for every morning. Say thank you more often. Pause once a day and reflect on one good thing, big or small. When you build the habit of gratitude, something beautiful happens. Your world expands. You start seeing possibilities instead of problems. You stop measuring yourself against others and start celebrating your own journey. You become more generous, more present, more grounded. Gratitude puts you back in the driver's seat of your emotions. It doesn't eliminate comparison. It replaces it. It says, I don't need to compete. I need to appreciate. I don't need to chase someone else's life. I need to love my own. The extraordinary don't live in a constant state of comparison. They live in a constant state of awareness, aware of what they have, how far they've come, and what they're capable of. They choose gratitude, not once in a while, but daily. Not when it's easy, but especially when it's hard. So today, ask yourself, what's good in my life right now? What have I been overlooking? What can I celebrate? Even if it's small, then write it down. Speak it out loud. Let it anchor you. Because gratitude isn't just a feeling. It's a foundation. And when you choose gratitude over comparison, you unlock the freedom to grow, create, and live fully on your terms. Number 6, choose consistency over intensity. Intensity is exciting. It makes you feel like you're doing something big, something meaningful. It's the all-nighter, the 90-day sprint, the crash diet, the burst of motivation that drives you to overhaul everything at once. But intensity fades. It burns hot and fast. And then it's gone. Consistency. That's where the power is. It's quiet. It's steady. It's unglamorous. But it's what builds real lasting change. Most people chase intensity. They want the dramatic transformation. They want to change their life in a weekend. But the truth is, an extraordinary life isn't built in a weekend. It's built in daily decisions, repeated over time. Big change doesn't come from doing something once. It comes from doing the right thing over and over until it becomes part of who you are. Think about this. What's more powerful? Working out once for 4 hours or working out 30 minutes a day for a year? What has more impact? Writing one perfect chapter in a rush of inspiration or writing a little every morning, even when you're not in the mood? Intensity relies on motivation. Consistency relies on commitment. And here's what most people miss. You don't need massive action. You need sustainable action. You need a system you can stick with. Not just on your best days, but on your ordinary ones. Not just when you're inspired, but especially when you're not. Because that's what consistency really is. Doing what matters, even when it's not convenient. Consistency compounds, like interest in a savings account. The effects start small, almost invisible, but day by day, they build. One push-up turns into 10. One blog post turns into a portfolio. One page of reading a night turns into a new way of thinking. At first, no one noticed, sometimes not even you, but keep going. And one day, the results are undeniable. People will say, you're lucky, you're gifted, but you'll know better. You'll know it wasn't luck, it was a choice. Repeated day. And here's the beautiful part. When you stay consistent, you build something stronger than momentum. You build identity. You stop saying, I'm trying to be a writer, and start saying, I write every day. You stop saying, I want to be healthy, and start saying, I train because it's who I am. You stop saying, I hope this works, and start saying, this is just what I do. Intensity pushes for results. Consistency builds identity. So how do you stay consistent? Start small, ridiculously small. Focus on making the habit so easy you can't fail. James Clear calls this the 2-minute rule. If you want to run, put on your shoes and step outside. If you want to write, open the document and write 1 sentence. Why? Because starting is the hard part. Once you start, momentum kicks in, but you have to lower the barrier to entry, especially on the hard days. Consistency isn't about perfection. You'll miss a day. You'll stumble. That's okay. The rule is simple. Never miss twice. Fall down. Get up. Keep going. Because the difference between average and extraordinary isn't talent. It isn't luck. It's persistence. It's the ability to keep showing up when others quit. So forget the big, dramatic effort. Choose the small, repeated one. The one that feels boring. The one that feels too simple. The one that becomes automatic. Because that's the one that changes your life. And when you look back, a year from now, you won't remember the intense bursts. You'll remember the quiet days, where you showed up anyway. The days no one saw. The days that didn't feel like they mattered. But extraordinary lives aren't built overnight. They're built daily, brick by brick, step by step, choice by choice. So today, choose consistency, then choose it again tomorrow.